Well, hey friends, we're going to do a High Priestess reading for the collective. We're going to ask about that thing that is nagging at you when you wake up in the morning. It's something you can't quite reach. You intuitively know what it is. There's some kind of fear that's blocking it. It has to do with your secret desires. You get a little advice. Find out why you might want to take this advice and pursue this mystery. Let's see what happens here. We're going to start with, I like to use a tarot deck for an oracle card. And we're going to use the Brady Tarot. It'll be a bit dark, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's see. Sorry about the noise. Okay, here we go. First card. Ooh, the High Priestess for a High Priestess reading. So this is about intuitive knowing. It can be about secrecy. It can be connecting through the unconscious. And I have to say this presence of the owl coming up a lot. Here it came up in my Teacher's Dark Moon Ectray Circle. It's coming up in my Substack reading. So we have the owl about us here. Just trying to look at this image, see what is going on. There's always like these two pillars that the High Priestess sits upon. I'm just kind of interested in what that is. I don't know. I'm not going to look it up. We're just going to get right into this. I think the not knowing is the feeling that we need to be comfortable with when we do a High Priestess reading. Underlying energies, there is more information here. There is something about justice, about balance. We got the turkey vulture. Power, definitely. 2 buffalo. And this is a 7 of Wands. So this is about resistance. It's about integrity. I feel like, is there, oh, that's it. So we're looking at justice in this kind of situation where there is like, you may be feeling resistance. And so the feeling that I have around this reading, and it kind of is relating to something, I just did a personal reading a couple days ago. And there's like, you intuitively are aware that there's an attempt out there. I don't think it may be in you, but it feels to me like it's out there, and that there's a conflict like that we see here with these 2 buffalo. It's an inner conflict that people or a person in your life are having. And so justice is about bringing the truth to bear upon a situation and finding with the 2 cups a kind of balance that feels right. So yeah, I guess I just feel like this mystery has to do with some need to resolve a tension. I almost kind of feel like a 2 of Swords feeling of a dilemma, but it's not in people's heads. It's like right in the body. It's like in your desires, and it's an emotional dilemma. High Priestess will take us down into the feelings and everything like that. Okay, so let's ask some questions about this. I've got, the first question is, what are you ignoring? And I'm going to be a little bit more specific. There's a desire that you have that you are ignoring for some reason. I'm inclined to ask about desire because of, wow, there's the High Priestess again. Wow. Okay, so let's see. Cutting the deck. First question. You have some kind of a desire, something in you that you're ignoring. So what is that? You are ignoring a call. This is Judgment. The card of Judgment in this deck is called the Call. This is about you're being called to your highest self. You're being called to the next level, to ascend in your life. And this is what you are resisting, or the person out there is resisting. Yeah. So there's a calling. and you're feeling called to ascend. It's a mission. This is about a mission, and it's actually your calling. It's your desire. It's what you wanted to be when you grew up, when you were a kid, and it's always scary to go for it. You can kind of feel like the profound feeling of the call, and that the angel has thrown her head back. She is surrendering in a way as she blows this trumpet. It just feels like a pretty profound spiritual thing that you are avoiding, a desire, a purpose, something like that. Or that this outside, this tension that we feel on the outside is that somebody else or groups of people are having. You're feeling that. I mean, perhaps your calling is to, in some way, help bring justice or balance into that situation. Okay, you're ignoring this for a reason. What is your unconscious fear? The sun. Authenticity. Absolute happiness and wish fulfillment. It seems like an odd thing to be afraid of, doesn't it? To be afraid of wish fulfillment. And yet, we can have this dearly held desire. For example, for me, like, I've always wanted to write a novel. I've wanted to write fiction. And then when I was younger, I didn't have any stories, and now I have lots of stories. But it's quite scary to pursue that. And it makes me feel vulnerable. It causes me to have to plumb the depths of my soul and my life history. So that would be an example of, I'm afraid of the sun. I'm afraid of my wish. And I'm not afraid of like the happily ever after, although I might be. You might be afraid of that happily ever after. Like sometimes when we get what we want, our wish fulfilled, then that's the end of a pursuit. And now we just have so much to lose. So feelings of fear are coming up around your absolute wish fulfillment. I also think of the sun as having to do with authenticity. I think because in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot, it's like this naked baby on a white horse with a flag flying. And so I always think of let your freak flag fly. So this makes a lot of sense as a fear, to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be seen as your true self in the world. So you're being called to something and you're afraid of this calling. It's very clear. But you also have a conscious hope and desire. What is that? Empress, card of self-sovereignty, of the earth. Very powerful, nurturing. This feels like, it's abundance, it's emotional support, love. It's a very kind of, with the High Priestess and the Empress, these are, for me, like the two powerful women in the tarot that I always kind of have a crush on and always want to be. So the Empress, she's our earth goddess. She could be like a wish that you have about the planet or some kind of engagement with land, earth. I know a lot of us are seeking that. So this is you know that this really matters to you. And because we see this tension here, this battle, if it's in you, if you're feeling torn, you have a desire for the Empress that you perhaps are seeing in conflict with the sun, this calling, because there's perhaps another calling that's in competition with this conscious desire. Dog's having a drink, as is his tradition while I film tarot readings. Okay, let's see. So there's some work that you have to do to achieve this Empress goal. I mean, this could be a person who represents the Empress to you. It could be an environmental cause. It could be self-sovereignty, like being on your own, right? The Empress and the Emperor would be her obvious partner, but she doesn't need a partner. She can have one, but she stands on her own, and she's the most powerful woman in the tarot. And I like that because I also think the High Priestess is very, very, very powerful, has a courage and a bravery in the darkness and the unknown, is intuitive and magical. But yes, this earthy Empress nurturing abundance and self-sovereignty. All right, so got to do some work here. Let's find out what the work is. There's Justice again. So we've seen Justice twice. All right, so we have the turkey vulture and then this angelic version of Justice. So if we look at this turkey vulture, we want to see the balance. What's the balancing here? There's a skull and an egg. So it's like the beginning and the ending. It feels very much related to this call, which is traditionally you would see like people rising up out of coffins being called up by Archangel Michael, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. And so this idea of being, it's this afterlife, you've lived a good life, and then therefore you get to ascend. So we have that life and death. This is a matter of life and death for you. So when we look at your advice, we do see that there could be some kind of legal resolution that you need to make. You need to go to court for some reason. That could be justice, 'cause sometimes it can be about that. And it's here twice, so it can mean multiple things. You can see that the sword of truth here is lit up, and we see the scales are out of balance in this particular justice. That seems important. Also, she's before the moon here. The moon represents the unknown, that intuitive knowing, High Priestess energy. It's also about like a moon journey in the tarot sense, like if you were to pull the moon card. This Justice card is making us think about the moon, right? This is about exploring the parts, the depths, the darkness, the past. It's inner child work. It's that there's something in this thing that you're avoiding here that you must face and know. Like you need to know your inner truth, just for yourself, perhaps, in order to bring the scales into balance, right? And I always think of a Two of Cups when I see the scales in a Justice card, right? So the Two of Cups, this is a soulmate mirroring energy, and we're seeing lots of pairs. This pairing here under power of the Seven of Wands. Well, not lots, but twice Justice and then that card. So I'm thinking a lot about tension between two choices. One you're resisting. So this needs you to bring the light of truth to bear upon a situation. And the truth must illuminate what you don't want to know, what you're afraid to know, which is the sun in this reading, which is your true self and your true happiness. Yeah. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do this work? What higher wisdom will you receive as a result of this work? The Hermit. Card of Virgo. So the Hermit here, this beautiful door, makes me think of a portal. But you open this door and you walk into a new world. There are all these keys here. The Hermit's such an interesting card to me. I think of like the Hierophant as like big history, like the history of a nation or history of the world. The Hermit is about your personal history. Like the Hermit is Virgo-y, intellectual, reclusive. The times, if you have any Virgo loved ones, they're so warm, kind of Empress-y warm, and then they go Hermit, and you're like, are they mad at me? Like, what happened here? They're one of the mutable signs, so Virgos have this bothness to them. And when the Virgo hermits, it's not about you. It's all about them. They're looking, they're learning, they're digesting, and they're perfectionists, right? So, and Virgo purists, the Virgin, right? So there's kind of perfectionist idealism. That this is a part of the process that brings wisdom. And this is like that moon journey that I was talking about. You take a key, you open that door, and you examine your past, your life, and you understand who you are. You gain wisdom, and I think you gain this sense of your self-sovereignty. There's balance brought back into the world. You have to do some deep digging here, and High Priestess reading is always about deep digging and looking at what you're afraid to know, and taking the advice to bring justice on this, to bring light to that sword of truth under that moon. The Hermit reiterates that. So if the Hierophant, another card, if you don't know, don't worry about it, is big history, and the Hermit is your personal history. So there is an opportunity to gain wisdom from this. It's a very personal, private, individual journey in which you get called. I feel like the Empress and the Sun, they seem to be in tension, right? Justice may find how you can have them both. So let's look at what's underlying this, and we will clarify for anyone. Yeah, there's your Two of Air. So I mentioned the Two of Swords. I felt like that was here when I saw these two fighting. So this is a dilemma. It's a choice. And this person has chosen one bird. The other one, she's kind of lifting up and giving, sort of letting loose something free. You get the Page of Fire. The card of the queer, the outsider. It's a young messenger. Sometimes read as a messenger because the foreigner, this little alien, beautiful being under the moon again, comes to you, or is a part of you, that looks at everyday existence from the outside and says, well, here's what I see. And there is victory, the last underlying card here. This is about recognition. So I think this is the dilemma. The Two of Air caused me to put these two cards on either side of a dilemma. There's a public image, there's recognition and validation, people pleasing, approval seeking card. It's visible. It's a really positive. It comes right before that Seven of Wands. It's what you have to lose that would make you resist listening to this call from this Page of Fire, this outside voice, this one that says, so this is your dilemma between your public image, your status, recognition, that Six of Fire, victory. You've worked really hard for whatever that is. And then what this Page of Fire is calling to your attention. It has to do with the Sun, your authenticity, who you truly are, and it has to do with your wish fulfillment, what you all have always wanted. And it feels in tension with, I think this is your public image, there's your calling, and then there's your cause. The advice is simply to bring these into balance. And the way that you have to do that is you must know yourself. So give up resistance here and look into your unknown spaces. Oh, this seems like a pretty clear message. So you may be happy to say goodbye right now, but I am going to ask more questions and get a little bit nosy about this reading. So let's see what else happens when I clarify. That just means I'm going to pull 3 cards for this baseline reading. So what you are ignoring, this desire, so you're ignoring some kind of call, a feeling of being called to ascend. It really is like about wrapping up the life you've had. And you'll resist this because you worked hard for the life you had. So let's see. You want to answer this call. Yes, you do, because there's some discontent. An 8 of Cups. You worked really hard for what you have, but in some way there's a cup missing. It's an emotional lack in this situation that you have achieved. What else? Practical. You're very practical. Little Page of Pentacles. Grounded, practical energy. So and we can see on the table the 2 ravens. So we're feeling around in your dilemma. There's this discontent that's emotional, but then there's this practical thing here. And because Hermit came up, anyone my age, and I'm 53, like we were born with Pluto in Virgo. So this Hermit energy speaks to me of what's happening with Pluto right now. Pluto is currently in Aquarius. And so it just relocated there after spending all this time tearing through in a radical, transformative way all of our structures of power represented by Capricorn. But now it moves into the realm of air and ideas and technology and a kind of Aquarians are people that seem strange in their ideas. They tend to be forward thinking. So if we have Pluto there, and people of all ages might watch this, but for those of us that were born with Pluto in Virgo, this Hermit card here, this opening the door with one of those keys and exploring our lives, that seems to me to be important here, and it's causing a dilemma. Okay, let's keep looking. I'm going to pull one more card about. Yeah, I feel like there's an up in your headness. Okay, so here's action and passion and communication. Yeah, you're being called. You're avoiding this call for practical reasons, but you just feel you're really powerfully moved to take up this call. That's what that says. And the reason is you're discontent with where you are. And then you're like, well, and the practical, that's why I started getting all into Virgo stuff. Earth sign Virgo. So the Page of Pentacles speaks to me about, like in my case, I love my job as a professor. There is some weird, well, it's just not exactly what I want to do, right? Like I said before, like I want to write fiction. And so I have like the safety of this job, and I'm on sabbatical. And so I'm able to fit in my creative writing with my academic writing. So that's that 8 of Cups feeling of like, well, I'm able to kind of do the practical, pay my bills, have my little life. But the fact is, I feel discontentment in where my discipline is going, where my university is going. And so from this comes this urgency for action and to communicate. So get that feeling and to act and talk. Okay, so you're afraid here of authenticity and wish fulfillment. We talked quite a bit about that, so let's find out more about that. Why are you afraid of this? It's the happiest card in the tarot. Don't you want to be happy? You're discontent. Okay. I do not like the 7 of Cups. I don't know why. It's about choices, which is good. But it's also about fantasies, illusions. So maybe you're afraid that you'll go for what you want and it's just an illusion or a projection. Nice Leo energy to go with the Sun card. Also, Leo energy, strength. Beautiful card. It's a very, very powerful card. It beats the devil, all of the self defeating thoughts. And it's about subduing your animal nature with love. So I can feel it. It can be a very beautiful card, but it's coming in here as like a repression of desire here. And it's a sleepy one. Like I see this lion is yawning, right? Yeah, it's a kind of like if the high priestess is about connecting to the unconscious, this sleepy lion, the subduing of your desire, right? I said that this reading was about desire. You're called to this desire because you have discontent, but you've really been just trying to put that desire to sleep. You're afraid of the illusions and fantasies and choices. You're at a certain place in your life where you've achieved something. But this is over. The world is here, right? This is the card that comes after the call. It's the end of your life as you've lived it. It signals the beginning of a new life. And there's resistance here in you. Seven of Wands is here. You're really resisting and you're afraid of what this is going to mean. You're afraid of the ending. And so you've just been subduing what your true desire is. And you may have been doing this for a long while. I don't know. It's not actually a situation that I identify with, this Sun fear of authenticity and fear of wish fulfillment. But I think at this age, after having been disappointed enough times and brokenhearted enough times, like maybe I can understand. Like for me, I just have like this simple, easy life. I have a home. I love where I live. Dog, cat. I'm a little lonely. I'm intellectually lonely. I'm emotionally, but I like solitude too. Like bringing other people in and other stuff and change. Like this page of fire energy, all the newness and the strangeness and really being young and not good at it yet. All of that, it takes work and it takes a lot of courage, right? So I don't know. I'm trying to relate to this. Strength is courage, right? It says you can subdue your passion, but you also have the heart, the lion's heart here. So, okay. Now, your conscious hope is this Empress. It's a beautiful hope of the planet. It's a hope for yourself to be sovereign, the leader of your own life. It's maternal, so you may be a parent. You may, I'm doing this Writing in the Dark on Substack with Janine Ouellette, and her writing prompt was to do a body scan and for 5 minutes and then to write for at least 5 minutes about all the desires that come in after you do that body scan. And so among the ones that I sort of shyly share with you here was just like, I miss the embrace of a true friend and a lover. I miss that long hug that we can have with our person. And so the Empress speaks to me about getting that kind of love. And I've learned happily to give it to myself. And I mean, I say that I hate when people are going to try to fix me or offer themselves in that place. I I don't mean to share that to get that. I'm not trying to get your pity, but the feeling of knowing and admitting that I want that, that gives me power. Okay, so that's what we're gonna find out here. God, I'm like, God, Heather, do you have to be so vulnerable and then share this with your? Yes, I will. That's what the sun is. It's scary to be vulnerable. Okay, Empress, your conscious hope. Woo! Queen of Wands, more lions. Yeah, there's a lot of fire, passion, desire coming up in the readings that I'm just doing around the edges of my life, though not on film. And Queen of Wands, she's the queen of the law of attraction. What she focuses on becomes hers. She's the sexiest card in the tarot. Yeah. Wow. Okay. There's your Page of Wands. This is your conscious desire. It could be your kid if you're like a mom. Okay. And the Chariot. Wow. Cardinal energy. You want to leave home. You want to get going. It's a lot of momentum. The Chariot. Wow. Fire, new ideas, making the world that you want to live in. The Empress. Action. These are your conscious desires. So remember, we got the Two of Air underlying, and I said that she's choosing, she has a dilemma between the Page of Wands and her existing life. Like, what the cards are telling you is that your existing life is coming to a close. You're being called to something new. You're resisting that. The Page of Wands, you consciously know, is a part of your desire. If we think about this, so the world is how it is, and the Page of Wands says, well, I see the world as it is, and what if it could be like this? Let's critique this, let's tweak this, let's change this. And if the Queen of Wands focuses on this new vision for a new kind of world, right? Because we can see the world is ending here. That's scary, right? What's under your scary stuff. But this is your conscious hope, like to know how to take action towards a new vision. And if you're focusing on that with the Queen of Wands, that means that can become real. And it has to do with this Empress energy. So this is your conscious desires, and they're fantastic. And so let's see if we can find out how to find balance between what is coming in here as competing desires, as calling towards authenticity and happiness, and then this beautiful Empress energy that we just clarified. So let's see here, Justice. It's quite weird to do a tarot reading. Like, I've learned, like, I get lost in it, and I read the cards, I say what they mean, and you find your meaning in it, and then I'll watch it later. Sometimes I get afraid to watch it, and I'll see, like, wow, I was so confused, but it's pretty clear. It's complicated. You are complicated, my friend. Okay, Justice. What is that? Friendship. Reconciliation, Three of Cups. Nice. Seven of Swords. I've just been seeing this card a lot more than I want to. It's theft, dishonesty. It's the way that your mind defeats you. This is a balance of friendship and reconciliation with secrecy, privacy, and victory. Six of Fire, we already saw that. There's public recognition. Okay. To me, there's a tension between all three of these cards. Not just two. This is your advice. So we just got this card that came in. We've already seen that, right? Six of Fire, Six of Wands. So this is your advice. Whenever I see the Seven of Swords, I want you to tell the truth. I want you to quit keeping secrets, quit omitting, come clean. I get distracted by that. I'm very uncomfortable with dishonesty. And justice, right? Justice, the sword of truth is lit up here, right? So I feel like the cards back me up on that. Tell the truth, my friend. Yeah. The three of cups. It's a nice, friendly, heart people. These are my pals kind of energy. It's also like if there's been some kind of break, that you can resolve that. I'm never that interested in that card. I don't know why. It feels like, in contrast to that Seven of Swords, like if we think about justice, bringing balance between the Three of Cups and the Seven of Swords, like we're ourselves with our friends. We're our true, authentic selves. And it cups. These are emotional relationships. Swords, Seven of Swords, it's up in your head. And then we have the Wands, which is fire, your body, your desire. And this is about being recognized, your public image, which is in tension with the Seven of Swords, which is kind of about being private, sneaky, secretive. It's not always negative. Yeah, you have to balance these three things here. And I actually think it's really hard to read because it's under the moon. It's this High Priestess. You really need to look here. So there's a tension between emotional fulfillment, your privacy, and your public image here. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I do feel like sometimes the cards say, oh, none of your business, Heather. So it's a balance, not of two, but of three. Three Cups emphasizes that for me. Okay, so why would you want to go through this? Why would you want to look into all these tensions and into your personal history? Well, there's wisdom that comes from doing that kind of work. The Hermit's work. And what do we know? High Priestess again. Okay. You intuitively know this. Trust what you intuitively know. Seven of Pentacles. There's that practical energy that I put a lot of work into this. I'm waiting for it to bear fruit. These two are looking at each other on the table. Underneath them, a tower. So that which is built on a shaky foundation must come down. A shock, a surprise. It's going to end anyway. The old life, the one that you're kind of clinging to in order to resist this call, it's going to come down anyway. So you might as well. I like the tower. I always want to say, the foundation is shaky. So if you know that, if you face that, you can move out of the tower before it falls down, right? To me, there's agency in the tower. I like that about it. That's the kind of person I am. If I am awake to it, I want to take action towards it. I like control, maybe. I want to be in control of that tower coming down. I often use the example of this tree that's right there, and it's my neighbor's tree, and it's been wounded. It's got a big wound, leans slightly towards my house. I think, God, that could one day fall down on my house in a big wind. Have I done anything about it? Contrary to my statement just now that I like to take action, I have not. I have not called my neighbor. He, and I know why. It's an Airbnb next door, and he's kind of a real estate baron, doesn't even live in this town, kind of. He never answers my texts. So, yeah. So I should tell him. I should put it in writing so that if it were to fall on my house, I would have done my due diligence or whatever. So that's what the Tower offers you, is an opportunity to address what you already intuitively know is not. So you put all this work into it. That's part of the problem. I see that all the way through here, and I relate to that with my career example. It could be a relationship. A whole life that you've built is basically coming down. You're being called to the next cycle, and that's real life. That's how it is. You've done it. You've received public recognition. This victory card tells me that it's something that is really hard to give up, but it's going to come down anyway. So, sorry to be the bringer of the bad news. All right, underlying energy here. We have Eight of Pentacles. This card of your work. This is a card of, it's very much about this learning a new skill, having learning mastery in a new skill. We see card of wish fulfillment. This is what you fear, having your cups full, right? This is how you're feeling. You're feeling discontent. You're afraid to have this. This is wish fulfillment, the sun. That's what you fear. I mean, all of that fruit overflowing from those cups. And anything else? The Emperor. Yeah, I just really feel like you have a lot to give up. Power, your kingdom. I see it. I see what you're working towards wish fulfillment, but it's in tension with what you have achieved, some kind of status. And that is it. Oh, right. Remember, that's going to come down anyway. So let me know. I always hope people will let me know. And yeah, we'll see what unfolds. Okay. Have a beautiful day.